Welcome to week 8. In week 7, we spent our time discussing transformative development in work and social contexts, and talked about, in our pedagogical forum, about our outward-facing messages, and we talked about in our planned forum about the transformative ways in which we work together in establishing relationships. We also are just completing the turning in of our career roadmaps, and this is the first time that we will turn in the career roadmap. We will do that twice. So 20 points altogether, 10 points for the draft, which is due today, Sunday, at midnight, and then the final product for the career roadmap will be due at the very end of the course as our final project. In between now and then, we have 2 other projects. Our first next up is in March 27th, and that is going to be right after we get back from spring break. So plan to turn in your Leading and Learning Perspectives paper immediately after we return from spring break. Then we'll have our self-directed learning project after that in early April, and then finally end the course with our final career roadmap. However, I really hope that this isn't a final, we're just going to completely forget working with this piece ever again, just maybe a circular file or on the shelf. I would like for you to create your career roadmap in such a way that it is for you a living document that you continue to inform as long as you pursue a career. And I would like you to think about career in quotation marks perhaps, or italics, such that it isn't just the workplace career in which you are gainfully employed. I would challenge you to think about beyond that, to civic involvement, to church involvement, to volunteerism that might take you outside of a simple workplace structure, and think about career as what you view yourself as having a lifelong mission to accomplish. And so then, as you can discuss your career roadmap, consider those elements too. I also want you to think about milestones. So when we're talking about a roadmap, it might be that you have 2 competing opportunities that you're going to run in parallel. You're not sure which of the desired careers you really want to pursue, or maybe you want to pursue both and you're not sure which is more likely to become an actual opportunity. So that would mean that as you think about your opportunities, think about how you would address various milestones. There might be a milestone that is in common to both of those possible or maybe probable careers. Or perhaps the milestones are entirely separate and distinct. So if those things are in common, then note when would be appropriate to establish that milestone and when to complete it. And maybe that milestone actually has a number of steps in order to complete it. For example, if you need to, you feel, gain some level of recognition in a national stage, then how are you going to do that? If that's becoming an officer, for example, in a national or international professional organization, what steps will you take to make that happen? It doesn't happen all at once, so you can't simply say the milestone is to do that. You would need to create sub-milestones, if you will, or if that's the objective, sub-milestones to get to that final milestone achievement, all headed toward your goal of being X career. So that's the way that I would like you to detail your roadmap, if you haven't already done that. So I've only looked at 5 of them thus far, and so they've all been very different, very interesting. Some, and I've offered a number of suggestions for adding more detail or thoughts about different ways to pursue one thing or another. So I'm looking forward to all of the rest of them. They are being handed in today, I'm assuming. So this whole next week, we are going to discuss the career roadmaps in our mentor groups. So you'll all have opportunity to provide both constructive and critical feedback and appreciative feedback for those things that you notice in the career roadmap. So be really respectful and really conscious of ways that you can assist. So also notice that you will see some things on others, the roadmaps that others have created, that you may want to bring into your own roadmap. So enjoy this next week as we discuss our career roadmaps, and that will be our planned activity. And then our pedagogical activity is going to be a SWOT analysis. So what is a SWOT analysis? Let's just go ahead and click on this and we'll check that out. So in our Metagogy forum, we are going to look at, really flesh out something that we did about 2 weeks ago. We talked about our strengths in our self-directed learning forum. That was a planned forum 2 weeks ago that would advantage our desired careers. Well, those would be our strengths on a SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for, it's an acronym that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the strengths might be those things that we already do very well, the things that we bring as assets or talents, things that we offer a prospective employer in our desired new career. But what are the weaknesses that we have? Typically, we're not going to express those to a prospective employer, but we want to examine them ourselves in advance of talking with a prospective employer. What are those weaknesses, and can we shore them up? How can we shore them up? What might we do? So, and we might also explore weaknesses of taking that desired path. It may seem desired, but is there a downside to doing that? Then we'll want to explore what the opportunities are. Definitely we think that that desired path is wonderful, but in what way? What are those opportunities that will be benefits for us? How will those things play out? And how will we notice when those doors are opening so that those opportunities become available? So we want to explore opportunities. And what are the threats? The threats to taking advantage of the opportunity, the threats to waiting, the threats to waiting too long, the threats to jumping on it right now. What are the threats? So, SWOT analysis. And this is going to just give us more information to help us inform pursuing one or more desired careers. So let's now look at the framework. So for week 8, we're talking about in our readings, and we've got from Fullen, chapters 5 and 6, relating to being a relational leader and learner in work and social contexts. We're continuing the conversation about relationships and the importance of knowledge building, and not just knowledge building on our own, but knowledge building in a shared way, so that we become valuable and knowledge becomes valuable in a social context. Remember what Gibbons said in self-directed learning, that we need others and others need us. So we want to remember that as we work together as becoming relational leaders and learners in our workplaces and in our social contexts. So that's what we're going to be talking about, and that's what we're going to be reading about. We've got our career roadmaps that are going to be the front and center conversation for this week. Then we've got our pedagogical activity that's going to be our SWOT analysis. And probably we will just be sitting back a bit for after just handing in the career roadmap. But I do want us to think ahead to the Leading Learning Perspectives paper, which we've already discussed. And also, if you and I, haven't already sat down together and talked about and had a conversation as our midterm conversation, then let's please schedule a meeting to do that. One of the things that will be a part of that conversation will be our self-directed learning project. Sometimes in a course we go project to project, but this particular project, the self-directed learning project, we want to begin early. There aren't a lot of constraints for this project. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to use this project as achieving one of the milestones you have on your career roadmap. So we'll talk about that, and we'll have a great week talking about our career roadmaps. All right, we will see you in the forum.